Welcome to another episode. We're back of Azure Cloud Native after
Hey,
a few
it's good to
months.
be back.
Uh, yeah, so this evening we have two amazing speakers going to talk about SQL and security. Do you want to say anything, Richard?
Yeah, no, it's good to be back. Thanks for hosting again, Nick, as always. Yeah, really excited for these sessions because obviously, cloud native technology needs security, needs data. Without that, you can't do anything. So let's get to it.
Yep. So hope everyone had a good Christmas and Happy New Year. So let's bring in the first speaker. The first speaker will be Javier talking about Copilot, SQL, and database. Hiya, Javier.
Hi guys, how are you?
Hiya.
How you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks.
Yeah,
Yourself?
good, thanks.
All good here.
Yeah.
Glad to be here today presenting for the community.
Nice.
Thanks. So
Thanks.
before we start, do you want to give an overview of what your session's about?
Yeah, definitely. The name of my session is SQL Server Supercharged, Azure Fabric, and Copilot in Action. The idea will be to briefly present where is the current state of SQL Server, because it's not the what it used to be many years ago, right? This monolithic software running on a bare metal server. No, now there is an ecosystem that also runs in almost everywhere, right? And what are the new things related to SQL in terms of innovation, right? Especially in the AI era, right? You can ask me, what is the relationship between SQL Server, which is a relational transactional engine, and the analytic and the artificial intelligence? Well, we'll find out today.
Excited to see it.
Let's show you screen. 1 sec. Yep, and the floor is yours.
Okay, we are ready then to start. You see my screen? You see my screen, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start then. All right. First of all, thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, Richard, for inviting me to present today in this community. It's not my first time. I'm always a pleasure for me to be here and present in the Azure Cloud Native community, right? Sometimes we struggle to relate SQL with cloud native things, but you will see that it's gonna definitely make a lot of sense. A little bit about myself. My name is Javier Villegas. I am from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I work as IT director in the DBA and BI services areas at Mediterranean Shipping Company. I've been working with SQL Server and the Microsoft Data Platform for around 30 years. I'm Microsoft MVP and also MCT, Microsoft Certified Trainer. Define myself as a technical speaker. I would like to be there every time someone is talking about data. Right? I'm also one of the organizers of our local community here in Buenos Aires, SQL Argentina. We have our own community, our own events and shows that we present on a monthly basis. On the left side of the screen, you have my contact information in case you have any questions or anything that you would like to ask or discuss. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to get in touch. All right, this is the current state of SQL nowadays, right? And Microsoft put this marketing phrase, which in reality is quite accurate, right? Is from ground to cloud to fabric, right? Ground is, what we used to know as on-premise. Cloud is the Azure cloud, right? plus eventually some other third-party cloud. And Fabric, you may know, is the recent announcement. Well, it's not that recent. It has already 2 years in as GA. Is the data platform for analytical purposes, in where you can do end-to-end projects using just a SaaS offering like it is Microsoft Fabric, right? So the current state where we are today is, since November last year, a couple of months ago, Microsoft announced SQL Server 2025, right? The latest and greater major product, so we have it available for use in production, because, as I said, is GA. Then we have Azure SQL, in where we have kind of 2 buckets, 2 flavors: the infrastructure as a service and the platform as a service. In the infrastructure as a service bucket, we have virtual machines running SQL Server, right? The same SQL Server software that we've been using forever. And then in the platform as a service bucket, we have 2 options: Azure SQL Database and Managed Instance. And then finally, also announced during Ignite last year, a couple of months ago, we have SQL databases in Fabric. That means that we can create a SQL database within the Fabric platform in very easily, right, with a few clicks. And what Microsoft is giving us is the possibility of having a relational database within the analytical platform, Microsoft Fabric. What is interesting about all this is that there is a stacks of things that are common for all the SQL components in this new ecosystem that I just mentioned, right? T-SQL, Transact SQL development is the same. Doesn't matter if we connect to Fabric SQL or to SQL Server 2025 or a managed instance. All the knowledge that we have in SQL, writing store procedure, creating tables, etc., is common for all of them. The SQL engine itself, all the goodies related to the execution plan, the automatic query tuning, all that is common. Same for tooling, right? Visual Studio Code, Management Studio, is exactly the same. We have, doesn't matter which tool we use, the one we prefer the most, but we can connect to every single environment. And then, of course, Fabric. Fabric is by far the #1 platform, and Microsoft is betting really, really hard. So it's giving us the possibility to bring our operational data into Fabric. And of course, AI and Copilot. This is what we're going to see later in the demo, right? We will see how Microsoft is implementing AI within this Azure family. Again, when I talk about SQL, it's not SQL Server product. It's all the range of products and services that I mentioned before. And of course, Copilot, right? Microsoft is deploying Copilot everywhere. So SQL Server is not the exemption. Just to give an additional heads up of where we are today in this current data state, right? It's important to highlight a few more points on the SQL ecosystem, right? Remember, from ground to cloud to Fabric. When we talk about SQL Server, we know that since SQL Server 2017, we have the possibility of running it in the Linux platform, right? Not only on a Windows Server environment, but also we can run in production, and I know several cases where we can run SQL Server at the top of the major Linux distribution, right? At the same time, we also have the possibility of running SQL Server within a container, right? Either in an Azure container environment, either in Docker, we can do it without absolutely any problem. The same for Kubernetes, right? We can run and orchestrate all those SQL containers in Kubernetes and have a production environment with high availability, disaster recovery at the top of Kubernetes. There are multiple implementations about that. And, as I said before, all we know, all our knowledge, all the tooling, all the engines, they are completely the same between all of them, right? We briefly mentioned SQL Server at the top of virtual machines, right? And also managed instance and Azure SQL databases. Those are the two services that Microsoft provide us just the SQL Server endpoint, right? We just connect with our application, we deploy our databases, and we don't worry about the infrastructure behind the thing. We don't have to take care of the patching, the high availability, the disaster recovery, anything. It's all part of the service. And then you can ask me, Javier, why we have two of them, Azure SQL Database and Managed Instance? Well, I would say that Azure SQL Database is more targeted to modern application. If you are building a brand new application from scratch, we should definitely consider Azure SQL Database because it has certain characteristics which are unique for this problem. First of all, and just to start with, everything has to live within the same user database. It's not like the SQL Server that we can have multiple databases, and if the permissions allow us, we can do joins between tables that are located in different user databases. No, in Azure SQL Database, we have to have everything living within the same user database. This concept of platform as a service went that well that the community asked for something more. So we wanted to have something more similar to SQL Server with multiple databases, with the SQL Server agent, with database mail, with everything. And that is why Microsoft released Azure SQL Managed Instance, right? And as we just said recently, Fabric SQL DB, which basically removes all the complexity, all the caveats that we need in order to set up and configure any of the other SQL Server flavor, just with the thing that we just do new item, we specify the database name, and boom, we have our Fabric SQL database ready to be used. All right. So SQL Server 2025, as I said, recently announced, and there are three main pillars, right? AI built in, the focus for modern development application, and integration with Fabric. What is the AI part? Well, for the very first time, we have the possibility in SQL to have a vector data type, a native vector data type. What does it mean? That we can connect to any large language model hosted anywhere, and we will see it in a minute, and we can generate the embeddings, right? Consider the embeddings are just numbers, vectors, right? We can store them in SQL in a native data format, right? That will give us a lot of benefit that we will see in the demo in a few minutes. What can we do with that, right? We can basically have, for example, one table in where we have a lot of product descriptions, right? We can go and check on the large language model, for example, in OpenAI, right? Generate the embeddings, store the embeddings close to, the product descriptions, and then we can do a smart searching, right? Like, for example, start asking questions and retrieve the information in a more smarter way than what we are used to. Because nowadays in SQL Server, if you want to look for, text patterns, we are quite limited. We have the like operator in where you have to match 100% the word that you are looking for within the description, but you don't have nowadays the possibility of, for example, if we consider the AdventureWorks database in where we have information related to bicycles, and in the description we have a bunch of items related to bicycles. We cannot ask, give me everything that is related to accessories for the head, right? And it's going to return glasses, helmets, all those kind of things, in where the word head doesn't figure out, right? So it's super powerful, and it's just having an vector database within SQL, which is a relational transactional data, right? So we can move on with our tables, with our indexes, with our joins, but at the same time, we can store and we can search using embeddings, using vectors. So super, super cool. At the same time, a lot of new features for developers, right? We will see some of them if time permits. And of course, the integration with Microsoft Fabric to be able to synchronize data, operational data, with the Fabric platform. Of course, security by default, right? Microsoft is by far the number one service provider in SQL in terms of security. Is the most secure platform since more than 10 years ago, and SQL Server 2025 is not the exception. Mission critical, of course, there are benefits and new features and enhancements in security, as we said, availability and performance, so it's available for all of us. So, for developers, right, one of the important things that we have today in SQL Server 2025 is that we have JSON data type as a native data type. All right. So we can, for example, store a JSON document within a table in a row in a specific field, right, with a JSON data type. Right. It's now like having a NoSQL database, because we have semi-structured data, into the relational database, right? As long as the JSON data type, there are also a bunch of functions and objects to manipulate the JSON documents, which are super cool. A lot of improvement in regular expression, right, to do also smart searching. And these two new features, one of them is change event streaming, which allow us to stream to Azure Service Bus all the deltas, all the changes that we have in our operational tables. That means that if we have a table in where we do an insert, an update, a delete of rows, right, we can ship those changes to Azure Service Bus, and then we can build an application that consumes directly those changes from the Azure Service Bus. Super powerful, and again, targeted to modern development application. Also, a lot of integration with GitHub Copilot, and for the very first time, super important, the Microsoft Python driver for SQL Server. Right? This is something that the community was waiting for so long, and now is available. So, in the mission critical space, there are also a bunch of new features in SQL Server 2025. I would say that the most important ones is optimized locking, that allows users to have more concurrency as before. That means that, you know, in a database, what you need to be able to accomplish is basically to have multiple users accessing the same tables at the same time without blocking each other. With optimized locking, right, Microsoft has modified the locking mechanism to allow more concurrency. Then, in terms of performance itself, a lot of improvement in the IQP area, intelligent query processing, right, to enhance the performance and have the performance stable over time, super important, and also query store on read-only replicas. In terms of high availability and disaster recovery, right? There are better tooling to diagnose availability groups, right? And also a lot of enhancements related to the backups. Now we can take backups on the secondaries, for example. So Azure SQL, briefly, we just saw this screen, and we saw this before. We have the virtual machines, managed instance, and Azure SQL database. Let's briefly talk about the benefit of running SQL in the Azure environment. First of all, business continuity and high availability. Remember, this is SQL as a service, platform as a service. So we don't have to set up all those clusters, all those availability groups, etc. Microsoft give us for us built-in the option. Of course, we have to pay for, right? But it's available and super easy, right? Automated backups, long-term backup retention, and sheer replication. This means that when we do backups, automatically, right, we don't have to worry about doing the backups ourselves, the operators, the DBA, right? Microsoft will take the backups for us, will store us for us with long-term retention, and will also give us the possibility of sheer replicate those backups into multiple Azure regions, right? This way, if something happened to any of the Microsoft Azure regions, right, we have a copy of those backups on another one. And then the one I like the most, scalability, right? As I said, I've been working with SQL Server since many years ago, and one of the most difficult things is to dimension an environment before deploying an application, or when we have the application ready to be deployed in production, right? We can work with the business user, with the developers, and ourselves to say, okay, for this application, we're going to have this amount of CPU, this amount of memory, this disk, etc., right? But when you buy this, you kind of stick to that until eventually you can upgrade the memory, put more CPU, put faster disk, etc. But definitely takes a lot of time. You cannot do it right away, right? You have to buy it, wait for it to come, schedule the downtime, etc. So definitely it's going to take a few weeks, right? In the Azure platform, if you need more processing power, right, you can just do few clicks through the Azure portal, and you can scale up your virtual machines, your managed instance, and your Azure SQL database. So, for example, if you are at the peak season in Christmas time, for example, in where your sales start skyrocketing, right, and you see that you are running out of processing power, your CPU usage is going very high, those kind of things, you go to the Azure portal and you increase the compute power super easily. Again, you have to pay for it, but it's available right away. At the same time, when the peak season ends, right, you can downsize it, you can scale it down, right? So you can, go back to your original specification set. Then SQL databases in Fabric, right? This is basically what Microsoft is trying to accomplish. Simplicity, right? Remove all the complexity that all the other SQL Server flavors have, right? And make it super easy to deploy. Autonomous and secure. This is, security first. And one of the important thing, and for the very first time, Microsoft has removed the SQL authentication, the native SQL authentication from this flavor of SQL databases in Fabric. You only have Entra ID authentication. And of course, optimize for AI that we will see in action in few minutes. So then the integration with Microsoft Fabric, with every single flavor of SQL, right? SQL 2017 to 2022. 2025, managed instance, and Azure SQL DB, we have the possibility to synchronize or to replicate, or how Microsoft call it, mirror, right, in near real time, the operational data into one lake, into Fabric, right? That means that if we have our line of business application running in, for example, Azure SQL DB, and we do insert, update, delete of certain rows through the application, that data will be synchronized and mirrored into Fabric in near real time. Super, super cool, super useful. All right. So, and then Copilot, right? We have Copilot everywhere, and SQL is, again, not the exception. What Microsoft give us in terms of Copilot for the SQL professional? Well, first of all, there are two skills in SQL, right? One is targeted to database administrators, and the other one is targeted to developers and business users, right? For database administrator, well, you know, Copilot is this side chart that we have, and we can start interacting with, in this case, SQL, using natural language, plain English in this case, right? So, which is the skill targeted to the database administrator? Well, first of all, we can ask Copilot multiple questions, like, for example, when was the last time that I ran the backup? Do I have the statistic up to date? Do I have any deadlock on my database? How many users are connected? When was the last time that SQL Server has been restarted? And so on and so forth. Right? It's like an additional user interface, right, to interact with the database. Of course, every single database administrator by now has this toolbox, plenty of scripts that are, we are able to use them every time to get all the answers for the question that I told you before. But now you can do it in real time just using natural language. Copilot will build the T-SQL code to retrieve that information. So super, super cool and useful. And we will see it in action soon. Then for developers, right? We can have a piece of code, a stored procedure. We can give it to Copilot and say, hey, Copilot, can you assess if I can improve my coding for my stored procedure, so we can avoid locking and have better performance, those kind of things. So again, super useful in that sense. It's like doing an assessment to our code, right? And the last part is that also for developers is that, let's say that we are new in a company, right? And we get a new database, and if we need to start getting involved, we need to understand the architecture, all the tables, the data types, the relationship, the foreign keys, all those kind of things, to be able to start writing good T-SQL code. With Copilot, right, we can start asking Copilot, right, what about this database, right? We know that it's a sales database, for example. And so we can say, hey, can you give me all the products that in where the stock is greater than 10, for example? And Copilot will go through the database, navigate through the metadata, generate the T-SQL code, right, and give us the result. So without us knowing the tables, the relationship, or anything, right, Copilot will do that for us. So that is super, super cool. So what do you think we see it in action, right? We will try to showcase the AI part and the Copilot in SQL. So here I have Management Studio 22, which is the latest and greatest, right? What I will be doing here is restoring the AdventureWorks database from my backups, right? Then we're going to enable this external REST endpoint, which will allow SQL Server to go to Azure OpenAI and retrieve the embedding, right? So I'm doing it here. The second step that we will do is I will create a full text search catalog just to see if we can use it to do any of the searches that we want to accomplish. And then, without any AI, what we can ask is using the like operator, right? Give me everything related to racing, and then with full text search, we're going to use the contains, right? And we're going to get few items, right? But the word racing should be there all the time. We see that racing should be here, right? At some point in the word, we should see the word racing, right? Same with contains. So even if SQL Server is GA, general availability, there are certain features that are still not GA, right? The AI part is still not GA, it's in preview. So if we want to use this, we have to enable what is called database scope configuration preview features, right? So we're going to be enabling it for the database adventure worlds. Then we have to set up the whole encryption to be able to connect securely to Azure OpenAI and retrieve those embeddings. I did it in a previous step, right? And then what we're going to do here is basically create what is called a model, right? In the model, I have to specify the location. This is my Azure OpenAI endpoint here. What else? I have to specify the endpoint type. I will be retrieving embeddings. The model, which is called text embedding 3 large, right? And then the credential to be able to authenticate. So we will do that, right? So we have this already deployed in Azure Foundry, Azure OpenAI. I'm just telling SQL that every time that we're going to use one specific function that we will see in a second, where we want to use this endpoint. And what we will do now is that we will come up with the word hello from SQL. We're going to connect to our model in OpenAI, and we're going to generate the embedding, right? So the phrase hello from SQL, the representation in embeddings is this vector, right? So this is what SQL has done, right? So what's next? I will be creating a new table called product description embedding, right? In where I just have the data type here, vector, right? So here is where we're going to store all the embeddings. And then what we are doing here is based on the product description table, column, for every single description, for every single item that I have in my database, I'm going to Azure OpenAI and generate the embedding and updating it into my database, right? So we're going to have two representations of the things. Actually, we're going to have the product ID, right? The product description in plain text, right? And also we will have the embedding representation. What we're going to be able to do with that? Well, then we can start asking for prompts, right? And what SQL will do is using one function that we're going to see in a second, it's going to try to match, right, the embeddings and the ones that are closer to the others, meaning that we're talking about the same thing. That is why I'm going to be able to start asking more specific questions, like, for example, give me all the products related to head, right? And we're going to start getting more product than only the word head, right? So this is taking few more seconds, is going to Azure OpenAI. We have around 700 rows, right? And it's going to each of them and updating the information in my table. You have to consider this. If eventually you have one description that may change because you have a front end, an application that you modified the description, you need to redo this. You have to go again to the external model, right? Retrieve the new embedding and update it within the field, right? That, I mean, we can do that once a day. We can do it on demand. Doesn't matter. But again, the goal here is that we're going to be able to do this smart searching, right? You can ask me, is SQL Server the right place to do this kind of searching? And we can start having a long discussion during the whole day, right? SQL Server is still a relational database in where you can do transactions, etc., right? But I believe, my personal opinion is that having the possibility of doing this is super cool, because we can do better application. So here we have the product ID, the product name, the description, and the representation coming through embeddings, right? We also have the possibility of creating vector indexes to speed up the search, right? Imagine you have several thousand of embeddings stored and you have to do this matching. Definitely, the indexes are quite useful in this case. Then we will create a store procedure that we're going to be using to enter the prompts, right? We will call it find relevant product vector search, in where we will be entering the prompt, the stock. For example, if we want to do a hybrid search, give me all the ones that only have certain amount of stock. Then the amount of results that I want, in this case 10, and the similarity, the minimum similarity, right? Because we can narrow down the similarities to get more accurate answer, right? So then, using again the same function, AI generate embedding is going to change or convert the prompt that we will enter in natural language into an embedding, and then finally, using this, it will search on the table by the column embedding using the metric cosine, and it's going to give us the result, right? So I'm creating the store procedure here, and the final step is basically start asking, right? I want a gliding pilot with fill all butter stress, 0 buzz through the hands, right? So these kind of questions. And then we have, a bunch of products in where, of course, we have in the stock level more than 500 or more, right? And we get the result. I want accessories for the hands. And as you can see here, we don't have the word hands anywhere. We have palm, we have here palm again, and it shows I configured it also to get results in French eventually. Give me synthetic stuff, right? Synthetic stuff, and the word synthetic may not even show up, right? Here we have synthetic leather, but here we have high density rubber, So, and I want element related to wheels, right? And in wheels, we have, rear wheel, high performance mountain replacement wheel, right? What else do I have? I need to hydrate. So what can I have, right? And we're going to get, in this case, and hydration pack, right? So as you can see, we can start asking any kind of questions. Additionally to this, we can open here Copilot, right? And we can ask, let me clean this, which is from my previous exercise. I can go here and say, hey, I have questions for the Adventure Works database. So calculate the average vacation hours by shop title. We're going to ask this directly to Copilot without even knowing what tables I have, the foreign key, the relationship, those kind of things. What SQL is doing is evaluating the metadata, right, and generating the T-SQL code to come up with that result. While we wait for this answer, we can also say for the next one, find employee hired after 2010 in a specific department, right? So the first one always take a little bit longer because it's doing that discovery through the metadata, but then it's going to be simple. And again, the question we ask, average vacation hour by shop title, we get it in here right away. We can also ask, can you give me the T-SQL code you use? And basically, it's going to give us the code so we can, for example, use it in one of our store procedures. Right? So here is the T-SQL code. We can just reuse it. Find the employees hired after 2010. Right? This one is going to take a little bit shorter. Right? And again, we can spend the whole afternoon just doing question and chatting with our data, right? Finally, I will ask, while we wait for this one, which SQL Server version I'm running. So we wait for this one to come. And again, all this, we can do it through Management Studio to Visual Studio. We can build our own T-SQL, right, and get it. But, we have this interface now that is natural language, right? We get the result. Which SQL Server version am I running? It's going to check. And it's going to give me this is a super simple question, right? But again, we can ask about the backups, right? SQL Server 2025 Enterprise Developer Edition, right? So, as you can see, super powerful. And as I said, I stayed all the afternoon previously just playing around, asking questions about my user databases, and believe me, it's quite fun. So with that, we just finished the presentation. Hope you find it interesting. And well, again, you have my contact information here in case you want to reach out to me. So thank you again.
Very nice. I enjoy.
Yeah.
SQL's come a long way since I last looked at it in depth. I've been like more NoSQL kind of thing, and then it's like, wow, okay, yeah, this is cool. This is really cool.
It has evolved a lot in the last several years. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and we just scratch the surface only, right? The AI part and the JSON part is more robust, but definitely, is here for us to use it, right? Again, are we going to be storing JSON documents in SQL? I don't know, but we have the possibility.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. That's cool. When you said the JSON in the SQL, I was like, oh, that's very interesting. I'm sure there's a need for it, but yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, we've got no more questions. If anyone got any question, you can drop Javier a message on socials.
In the QR code at the top right, you go directly to my LinkedIn profile. Feel free to reach out to me from there. That's the one I'm most active at. So feel free to contact me.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Well, now we have another interesting presentation ahead.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So our next speaker is going to talk about the Microsoft Defender. It's called Rugos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, Javier, and all of us. I'm really excited to be here tonight with you, and of course with the amazing Azure Cloud Native Group community and LinkedIn community. And it is great pleasure to present real world red-blue attack XDR Microsoft simulation, where we work actually in the full life cycle of attack. And my idea is to present from initial compromise, detection and alerting, incident management, threat hunting operation, and with the hacker and the defense perspective regarding lateral movement, attacker behavior analysis, how we investigate incident and threat hunting operation in XDR, and I will explore, of course, how Microsoft Unified Security Platform brings everything together, from XDR detection to Sentinel analytics, automatization, and of course, Copilot-driven insight to help all defenders, cybersecurity analysts, threat hunters, SOC analysts to respond more faster, more smarter, and with a greater precision. And that is the point, and I will share my screen to present everything, of course, with the point of view what we actually doing tonight.
Correct.
In a summary, I changed position on the 1st January. That is interesting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm global product engineer, Microsoft Security DevOps in Managed Service Core Microsoft team in Global Center of Excellence in SoftwareOne. And my contribution is to design innovation of Microsoft XDR for Microsoft Sentinel and accelerating Microsoft SOC capability. The key point is automation, many parts to be sure. For example, I design and implemented change in production and service based on big law requirements and develop infrastructure for deployment security related project like SOC as a code environment using KRM templates, Bicep, Terraform, GitHub Action, and to enhance automation with Azure-based security infrastructure according agreed backlog items, maintain and improve CI/CD pipelines, and development a lot of infrastructure for multi-tenant and multi-customer environment using this approach. And of course, I'm double MVP in CM, XDR, and cloud security, and a couple of decades I am Microsoft certified trainer. Also, I am involved in security community, Azure, a lot of Microsoft CCP, and a lot of other community regarding my actually security MEP adventure. That is actually in summary about me, and I will go now in in agenda, what actually I present tonight. I mention it not be theoretical talk. Tonight, I will practically demonstrate how we actually onboard Microsoft Sentinel and Defender XDR portal that is now as a part of unified security operation. That is very important because we have actually now three fantastico: Defender, XDR with Microsoft Sentinel, CM, and Microsoft Security Copilot are available as a unified experience. All of your alerts, your incident, your playbooks, your policy is one place with more AI, generative AI, more automation, and unparalleled view for emerging threat enriching at all. One place to manage defense, actually. The single portal for your threat investigation, detection, and response. And that is my focus. My focus will be to explain how we use automated investigation and automatic attack description to resolve incident in Microsoft Defender XDR family. And that is also my focus to demonstrate in my lab during attack simulation from hacker perspective and of course for expector of some cybersecurity analyst in unified security operation. And what is actually now the current states? We are facing with a lot of attack. Ransom cloud refers to specified type of ransomware attack that targets actually data stored in the cloud. Or many organizations increasingly move their data in cloud services, but we are facing with a lot of dark data without any control. How to protect, for example, your sensitive data in the cloud. That is a central point. And for example, in infiltration, ransomware initially compromised victim local device, such as some computer or mobile device, and spread in the cloud. One, the victim data, synchronized with the cloud storage device like Google, like Dropbox, never mind the ransomware spread to the cloud. Data encryption is the next point because ransomware encrypt victim data in the cloud, making it inaccessible to the users. And attacker demands on the ransom, usually in cryptocurrency or Bitcoin to exchange, and etc. That is actually when we have data exfiltration, and actually we are also facing with the humor attack starting for unmanaged device. What is unmanaged device? That is unprotected, without defender control, without a lot of control who help us in cybersecurity defense. And of course, business mail compromise. It is the large problem that is not classic cyber phishing attack. That is a cyber crime, serious investigation with serious compromise, and statistic is very, very serious in the last 5 years about this type of combination, man-in-the-middle attack with phishing, social engineering, and a lot of that. And finally, we are facing in the past with a lot of security tool, but without control, with a lot of integration. Everything, many organizations have, for example, more than 15 cybersecurity tools. And when in the all phase cybersecurity incident, it is heavy for administration, it is heavy for of maintenance and everything regarding patchwork or silly security tool. After that, actually, now Microsoft Unified Security Operation Platform is available as comprehensive platform combines several essential security components to enhance SOC. Unified platform of course, the first layer is AI, with generative AI automatization, or enriching feature, XDR, how to protect and defend across workloads, across endpoints, clouds, application identity, and we have all phase of incident investigation, response to incident, threat hunting activity, incident management. Of course, we have CM SOAR solution, cloud native solution, flexible detection across digital estate now is full inbuilt in Microsoft XDR for all your feature, including Sentinel Data Lake. It is very important to emphasize. Monitor everything with the investigation, reporting, and etc. How to reduce exposure across digital estates. It's help us exposure management with attack path analysis, how to prioritize action with the broad asset coverage, in etc. Threat intelligence with the threat actor profile, with the global insight, with the infrastructure analysis, with very comprehensive threat insight, help us in more way. In a summary, the main feature is how to prevent breach with the end-to-end visibility of your attack surface, shoot down in progress attack with automatic attack description, investigate and respond more faster customer SOAP to more than 80 reduction incident with improved coloration, with the alerts of incidents, and Microsoft Powerful Security accelerate with triage, with comprehensive incident summary to map MITRE ATT&CK framework, reverse engineering malware, translate complex code into native actually language insight. And in summary, we have proactive protection, we have SOC productivity, we have up level to SOC to achieve more with generative AI, with threat research and tailored optimization. In the summary, we have Microsoft Sentinel with collect, detect, investigate, and respond. Microsoft Defender family, who is built all in Defender XDR with hybrid identity, with endpoint and Internet of Things, with mail collaboration. He's responsible for Microsoft Defender 365. Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps with Software as a Service application, with data loss prevention, also integrated and connected with Microsoft Purview solution, and Microsoft Workload with Azure, with AWS, with GCP, because Microsoft Defender is actually multi cloud platform, not only for Azure, but involve other and support more than 10 different workload, including servers, containers, database, and servers layer application. We have from detection classification, actually attack disruption, automatically isolate infected device and suspect compromised account in the real time. In early kill chain, automatically disrupts also human operation ransomware attack. And in the summary, we have two stage with AI automatization disrupt, for example, lateral movement, and we have also investigate and remediate it with the SOC team and reduce cost and limit impact of attack. How to stop lateral movement in some suspicious PowerShell activity in the early phase of incident. That is actually in introduction. I prepare also, of course, demo, and I have Domain Join virtual machine here. His onboarding in Defender XDR, what means I will explain later. But I have some ransomware activity, suspicious PowerShell script. Everything is actually here. and I'm now in PowerShell. And when I go in directory, I have a lot of serious module. I will turn on my actually the main PowerShell script with the ransomware suspicious command simulation, and attack is actually now in the place. It is actually how we work. What's happened now on the other side, and what is the first place interesting for us? First of all, do we have all prerequisite? Are we prepare our Defender tenant for this serious incident? Okay, I will go now the first in settings. What is my focus? How we prepare better for automatic attack description? How help us generative AI to resolve this incident? The first, when I go in Microsoft Defender XDR, I will go here in very important part that is actually device. And I have some device, create some device group for specific action. I have a group of Windows Server 2025, 2019. I have some Windows 10, Windows 11 machine. Never mind. That is the scope of groups, but you can see now, when I click here, I have settings for full remediation. Microsoft Defender for Endpoint will automatically investigate and remediate device without human intervention. These settings is very important to take into place. First of all, when I go in settings, I must create in endpoints some device groups. And that is the place. I add security groups, define name for these groups, and of course, when I set full remediation level, and when I go now, I will start with the name group, for example, Windows Server 2019. And of course, I have these important settings. Start with, for example, tool server, and I can define scope. What is actually my scope here? I will define Windows Server 2019, and after that, go the next wizard. It is very easy to manipulate. I will predefine users group, for example, for security operation, and after that, I'm joining this into action. That is the first prerequisite. The second prerequisite I mentioned, we must onboarding machine in Defender XDR. How it works? Onboarding, it is very easy. I have 2025 Windows Server, and I chose Windows Server here 2025 connectivity type standard with a local script and download onboarding package. That is actually zip file, and when I go and copy this file, I will go now in my Defender here. Okay, I am aware attack. I will try to stop, but it is not easy. Never mind. Machine is actually I can go now in Defender. And after that, I will go in actually this place. This is my package. I will extract all in my desktop. I will go now in desktop to extract what I previously and when I go now, I can run as administrator and just go yes. Onboarding operation, I successfully onboarded machine in Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. After that, I will go in actually asset to found my device, and yes, this is my actually virtual machine in status onboarding, and I'm prepared for incident investigation and threat hunting. We must know some very important prerequisite to include automatic attack disruption in our action. Okay, what we doing now, I will go on an incident. Oh, that is serious attack now with a high level, with 100 priority. And we have 3 investigation state with category execution, defense, evasion, discovery, lateral movement, malware, impacted my user with 70 of 19 alerts. Oh my God. And after that, when I go in incident, you can see now, very important part, attention. I will go and zoom this for the better view. Attention, attack description initiate contain user action on the compromised account. I have 2 choices. I will go in activity tab here, or I can use action center for better visibility, automatic attack destruction. Now it's a better idea to go here and see all coloration. I can see all in attack story. I can see when I click for 7 process, I can view 7 process, and that is actually how many suspicious processes I have in the place with PowerShell execution policy. I can see actually what I previously doing in the file with the point of view attacker. I can see, I can open the file page, and after that I can conduct preliminary investigation with Security Copilot and generated analysis of file, incident alert, file names, and everything. And I can see object details on my file, for example, for PowerShell.exe. And now actually we have serious incident. But what is actually point? I have disruption action taken. With incident summary, I contain 1 user, 1 device, and preparation for blocking. This is very important. And I have incident summary of all incident now is Copilot in action, and Copilot in contain phase incident suggests me, okay, you can isolate device automatically. This action will isolate device from the network. It will remain connected to the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint service. I can check your isolate exclusion to allow specific communication while device isolate. I can click comment and actually automatically isolate device. All disable account user or reset password for Azure user. And after that, I can export all incident in PDF in first early phase of incident and help us to more knowledge for example, SOC manager, for all manager, cybersecurity manager who is involved incident. Preparation, my PDF, it is taking few minutes and I can now download this, and when I open, I have all in one place to explain from Copilot perspective, incident summary, attack story graph of Sentinel, 5 threat category: execution, defense, prevention, discovery, lateral movement, 2 impact asset for device and user. That is my Azure user, that is my compromised virtual machine with 69 evidence, and etc. etc. It is very useful. Also, Copilot will be available to connect for all indicator of compromise regarding vulnerability management action. And now we have also to help us Action Center. In Action Center, what I can see now, containment on pre-increment user for attack description with explanation. Status is contained, and I can see SID, service source who is responsible for this part is Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, but automatic attack disruption is definitely in the place now. I can see all operation. When I scroll down, I can see now it is definitely a very, very serious attack with suspicious threshold task process launched, suspicious shell command line, suspicious JavaScript process, bypass anti-malware in PowerShell, lateral movement using RDP. We have attack description tag who explain us lateral moving using RDP, and that is as a consequence actually with automatic attack disruption action. Also, compromised account conduct some hands of keyboard attack, and I can now classify alert, for example, assign to me. I can also define, okay, I know that is attack simulation, that is security testing, and classification is informal, expected activity, security testing, and after that I can use save. Also, when I go in incident, I can also, when I click on some specific incident, I can also resolve and manage incident. Here I can use severity, I can use incident tag, I can use who is the person who assigned incident, status resolve with automatic attack disruption, and classification is also security testing. But what is important? Generative AI stop lateral movement for domain controller, suspicious PowerShell script in automatic way. After that, I resolve incident manually, but the most important 5 minutes is stop incident automatically. That is important, and I can see all information in investigation. Now is not threat found, but okay, in serious, in real story of attack, we have many attack like this to try to actually bypass MC malware in PowerShell script and prevent many action here. When I go in device inventory, that is important. When I click for some specific device, my compromise machine, I have 3 dots here, and I can conduct some manual action also. It is very important. Set criticality, run anti-malware scan, initiate automatic investigation, initiate live response session, isolate device, ask defender experts, go to threat hunting activity, and after that I can use some custom query, predefine some advanced hunting model and after that I can see all device process events. I can see process free. I can see and I can conduct first responder forensic here for my specific work. Take 100 event and let the device for my virtual machine with my device ID, search for all identity events, include network events, file events, registration event, define timestamp between before 24 hours, event affecting target device. Very, very simple custom query language. And after that, I can see and I can set in query. I have predefined log analytic workspace for my Sentinel action here, and that is very, very important. I mentioned Sentinel is now fully integrated with the workbox, threat hunting activity, notebooks, MITRE ATT&CK. Also, with DevOps perspective, I can use repo. It is very important, and setting some automatic action to deploy. I can use 2 approaches. The first is Azure DevOps with my repository. I can connect with my repository, and GitHub Sentinel deployment with GitHub Action. And when I go in edit, you can see the name, the source control. I can authorize my account for my action, and after that I can choose what I can deploy, what I wish deploy. Analytic rule, automatic rule, hunting query, parsers, playbook, workbooks in automatic way. One very, very good automation, but everything is one place. That is unified dashboard. Without any switching tool, I am working for all my work tonight with one dashboard. And that is very important. And that is with the point of view alerts. Of course, I can analyze this, some suspicious scheduling task process launching here, and I can see all action in process 3. Alert timeline, suspicious scheduling task process launching, suspicious action with the all exe file, PowerShell script, everything I can see now. I can see all image file path. I can see image file creation timeline, everything suspicious PowerShell activity. For example, what I previously mentioned, I can open our alert page. I can move alert to another incident. I can tune alert, and I can submit item to Microsoft to review. Also, I have more option, but with recommendation with the Copilot and everything in one place, it is definitely great story. Everything, of course, we now can use for more cheaper in Microsoft Sentinel data lake configuration and with the point of view custom query, notebooks, jobs, and surgery restore. It is great. We have one dashboard for that, and use and use, of course, predefined custom query for many action. But the central point when I go in specific table, I can use for also option, not only analytic table. I can use also, for example, for threat hunting. I prepare something previously. I have specific trend, for example, trend intel indicator or analytic, and when I go in data retention settings, I can define here analytic retention, and of course by default is 19 days, but I can use for 12 years also tier. But I can also include an integrated. You can see now data lake is actually integrated in my action for actually data retention option for archive, and of course I can use also cost management usage. I can see data lake injection, data lake storage, data lake query, data insight, data processing. I can manipulate with cost management, cost forecast, Microsoft Sentinel settings, subscription for cost management I previously defined here, and that is great with a lot of notification. At the end, please take into account some very important part is mail notification. For a lot of SOC team, that is not setting by default. I can set incident notification rule, for example, here, and after that I can use option send only for notification per incident in mail, and I can define what is the data source for example for predefined security group. I can use Defender XDR with automatic investigation. I can define what is my scope of interest, maybe only high and medium, not informal, in low, in my, and I can define some specified mail address for action, and after that you can use, I previously defined, that is the reason, but I can use action. I can use also threat analytic. I can edit rule in order to explain. I can define tag for phishing, for ransomware, vulnerability and report types, everything in one place. And also I can define mail address for the action. I can also define some settings for notification, automatic action, or manual, or both. I can define action, file quarantine, isolate device. If I have some similar, I automatically have notification. It will be proceed, complete or fail. The next, and I can specify my email address. What is important? That is not security by default. We must definitely predefine action. We must define prerequisite to be safety, and we must know how to use all of these tools. Yes, it is available. It is in the place, but the central place, how we use, how we conducting many training for our SOC analyst, incident responder, threat hunting, with all level in for example managed SOC and everything, and that is good. That is the point, and that is all from my side for this session.
Nice. On that bit, you got email notification. Can we do API notification as well if needed?
Yes, of course. I can stream API here. I can load API, then I can define here. But
Nice.
this is all when I talk about with the mail notification. But yes, it is also available. I can also define other service settings here. I can define previous settings for connection. That is not only by default. I can integrate Defender family with Defender XDR with all my features here. I can use other tuning. I can use automatic response for my device. I can define device group, IP address, for example, to exclude from the automatic response action. For my opinion, that is not popular, but I love to include all. But maybe you have scope for some specific device group for the IP address you must include. But yes, it is answer to your question. It is possible.
Cool. Thank you.
Anyone got any more question? Javier, you got any question?
So far, so good.
It's a powerful tool. There's a lot of settings in there, and you just scratched the surface. Same with the SQL. I know I've got a lot to look into to try and go a bit deeper into these areas because I don't really focus much in them myself. So you've opened my eyes this evening, both of you. So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you all for your attention.
Yeah, so thanks a lot, Eros and Javier. It's an amazing session. So got a lot of insights between SQL, what's coming up, and Defender XDR because I never used it before. Yeah. Any last words, guys, or Richard?
No, again, thank you so much for inviting us to present.
No worries. And see you until next time. Bye.
See you next time and see you